Hi everyone, I'm Ran.
I'm Chris.
I'm Demin. Today we will talk about the book Manual of Section. The book is about different types of sections of architecture. These types usually works as a collaboration and displays the complexity and potential of sections. I think the writer is missing the relationship between plan and section. Sections help to show a new dimension of the architecture by making a cart that does not exist in real space. While at the same time, the cart is closely related to the layout of plan and where you make the cart. Although the section may show part of the plan, the book does not clarify the role of plan in determining the particular type of section. Also, the effect of section is closely related to the plan and where the exact cart is made.
I'd have to disagree. While plan and section are both analytical cuts, as the book states, I would say that the vertical section cut does have its own inherent nature, and within the operations of the book that they use to categorize the sections, these are all unique to the vertical.
To be honest, I also use section as a method or a start point of design sometimes. However, by doing this, I think there is a huge risk that one will simply make an extrusion of the carefully designed section in horizontal direction, and maybe that is the consequence of the missing consideration of plan.
Maybe
that makes sense.
Maybe.
Without demonstrating the relationship between the two, you risk creating a singular understanding of the space. I mean, perhaps the book could benefit from maybe a plan reference, at least to understand where the transect is made. So, in looking at categorizing the sections into these various operations of extrusion, stack, shear, shape, hole, incline, nest, and their hybrids, I think this implies that all sections can be understood through one of these operations, while in fact architects utilize many different techniques. It makes it seem like these operations are the focus of the architect, while many times these buildings are the product of a larger conceptual idea. Discussing these types by themselves is certainly illuminating. However, with an audience outside of the world of architects, which I assume this book is trying to reach, it runs the risk of downplaying the conceptual and formal intentions of the architect. Take, for example, Le Corbusier's Ronchamp, where so much of the concept and what makes the design unique is the use of lighting and color and texture, all of which is hard to really communicate through a section or the operation that they've called out.
Yeah, it's true that conceptual ideas are not limited to types of section. But I think it is worth discussing how an audience outside the world of architecture can relate to sections. Well, in fact, in my mind, unlike plan and elevation, section is not proper for outside audience to understand architecture. And the book is mainly the manual for architects, and in this way, some architects may utilize section as a start point of concepts, and the architecture space is organized from one particular section.
As for me, I believe that the book is actually written for people with architecture study background.
Yeah.
But I don't think section is more difficult for normal audience to understand. It is true that the elevation or the rendering will show people a more straightforward expression of the form of a building, and form is always the easiest to experience and understand. But while using the section, it can show the activity of people in a more direct way, and that is the opportunity for section to help people understand architecture. I think maybe the problem here is that while the book is intended for professional, it includes only basic information without more useful and detailed one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I still think that section is not proper for audience outside the architectural world, maybe.
Except for manual of section, graphic anatomy, the works of Cowell also select section to be a means of expression. Although section is both their form of expression, actually, I think they have different intentions. As for manual of section, section itself is the main topic. It set up a framework to describe and evaluate section. As for graphic anatomy, section is more like a medium to present their projects both technically as well as spatially and functionally. It seems that the scale of the section in manual of section does not accommodate the human scale like graphic anatomy does. The majority sections they present use a viewpoint which cannot be actually experienced by people. The scale of architecture is hard to feel, and it's also difficult for readers to imagine the actual feeling that the architecture creates. In manual of section, the human activities which is presented in the book can be imagined even without the figures they put in the section. However, in graphic anatomy, we can see that the expression can be inspiring. The figures they use create a strong connection between human and architecture. It helps readers to understand the function and scale of architecture in a better way. In this way, for manual of section, section is more like to be considered as a method of design or a quick or clear presentation of their design, rather than an element which contributes to the space and phenomena.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that. I agree that the manual of section focuses less on the human scale of the section. However, the types of sections need to show more architectural thinking about the conceptual and structural concept. In this way, does human scale really matter? I mean, in the types of sections, also referring to the inner space and phenomena, I think not all types of section is suitable for displaying that because of the section is showing the cutting edge of the space. It is quite different from the real atmosphere of inner space, right?
That's interesting. So, in your view, the section as described in the manual is more of a diagram. However, they choose to show it as part of a larger perspective, as in a perspectival section, which indicates, at least to me, that they intend to provide some type of illustration of the interior spatial qualities. And perhaps then, the human scale does come into play, but only as a means of understanding the spatial dimensions and not necessarily the phenomenon of the space.
Yeah, so today, this is our discussion about the manual of section, and bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.